All right, we should be live. Okay, now we should be live. Volume should be better. It has been 2 weeks since we have done a market open, particularly because I've been sick, COVID, but we are back. I am so excited to be back. Let me share this out that I'm live right now. And let's get to it. I'm excited. Here we go. Hello. UCUS. Hello. Live market open. Let's tweet that. Let's put this in the Discord. 13 people here already. Thank you guys so much for being here. Means the absolute world to me. Let me just post this in my Discord. We are back, baby. We are back. Back. Richard, what's up? Theo, hello. Everclear, good morning. It's been 2 weeks, guys. It's been 2 weeks. Again, COVID really roughed me up. I think I did the market open one day when I was sick. And then every other day after that, I was like, I can't do this. But hello. Thou shalt not try me. YouTube notifications actually working again. Yes, YouTube. Thank you for actually working again. It is Monday morning, September 12th, 2022. Hope everyone is having a good day. This is an important week, mainly because it's one more week while you're living it, where when the week is done, you won't ever get this week again because we're all going to die one day and time doesn't come back. So it's an important week because it's a week and we want to kill the week and we want to do whatever we can. Reformed Gamer, thank you. Good morning, Mick. Glad you survived COVID from a fellow COVID survivor. I appreciate you. It means a lot. Paul, Richard, what's up? All right, let's get into it. Let's open up what's going on in the market. I have, as you see from the title, I'm going to be buying a stock live. And around 9:30, I will be making that purchase literally live, so you guys will see. Some of you may know which stock I'm thinking of buying. Others may not. But today, everyone will see. I will also be making a video a little bit later today explaining why I purchased the stock that I purchased. Okay, everyone can see what's going on. Let's open this up. We are 5 minutes away from the market open. We have a bunch of stocks open right here on the screen. First of all, let's take a general look at what's going on in the pre-market. Things are pretty green. Nothing super crazy. The S&P 500, which is, kind of a big deal, I would say, is at 406. Now, the S&P 500, this is an interesting thing to me. It's up in the pre-market at about 408. This was teasing 380s last week. It went all the way down from 430 down to 390. Most analysts were saying that it's time for it to go under, time for it to go down to 360s. This is going to be the interesting thing to me, just as someone who's observing the market. Which way does the S&P go? Do we rally onto the midterm elections and sort of go up in the face of inflation or in the face of rising interest rates? We know the Fed is going to raise interest rates. They have said they're definitely going to do 75 basis points in September. And even if they've not explicitly said that, we can pretty much expect that. The question is going to be what is going to be after that, right? Are they going to taper down to 25.50 given inflation is going to come down? We're getting that data, I believe, tomorrow. So Tuesday is a very big day because we're going to be able to know inflation. This is going to be the interesting part. If the S&P is able to rally, the entire market is going to rally. If the S&P doesn't rally, then the market's not going to be rallying. Pre is super green. That is absolutely true. I hope you DCA in. Yes, I am DCAing on the thing that I am choosing to buy. Gabe nailed his 390 support level. Gabe absolutely did nail the 390 support level. Now, Gabe, and this is a conversation I had with him off camera, is starting to feel less bullish on what's going on in the market. He's kind of revised, and he's probably going to come out in one of our live streams over the next couple of days. He's kind of revised his thesis about the S&P going up to 450. He says it might rally to 430, but it also might go back down given some of the things that are happening. And it has to do with the 2-year and the 10-year curve, not necessarily, or not acting the way they should be acting in all of human history, which is why it's a little bit more scarier right now in terms of what's going to happen, just from a technical perspective. Some smaller stocks. We have Spotify at 111 pre-market. Dogecoin is actually up kind of nicely over the past couple of days, up almost 30%. Meta at 160. Wow, Meta can't get a break, huh? 167 pre-market. Goodness. Neo. Oh, look, I just got a message from Verizon. They said we can pay 50% off the retail price to buy the iPhone 14. Is anyone getting the iPhone 14? I thought about it and I was like, I don't know if it's enough. Let's go to Apple stock. Their announcements the market was not happy with. Happy in the sense of they didn't give them the $3 trillion valuation that they're looking for, which would be a 180 share price. They are still stuck in that 157 range. Now, if the S&P rallies, Apple will rally. The question is that going to happen? I personally don't think the S&P rallying and the market rallying really makes any sense, given a lot of the stuff that's going on. Nothing has really changed, but we are going to be able to see. Amit, are you pulling the trigger on DNA? Not today. It's a different stock I'm pulling the trigger on. And in a couple minutes, we will see the stock that I pulled the trigger on. Glitch Life is in the chat. It's a good day today. I agree. Glitch Life, thank you for being here. What do you think about the Apple Watch Ultra? It was cool, but as someone who has never worn the Apple Watch, it was never interesting to me. Like, my mom got me an Apple Watch once, and I made her return it because I was like, I'm not going to wear this. We are about 30 seconds away from the market open. For those who are new to the channel, this is the one thing on this channel that no other channel on YouTube does, which is a nice little bell. We innovated the cowbell on YouTube. So if any other channel does it, it's because of us. Okay? It's because of this community. It's because of us. So right when we have 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, the United States stock market opening. Oh, I can see exactly. We're about 15 seconds away. I see exactly where we are. So in terms of the Apple Watch Ultra, I never wore an Apple Watch, so I just never found the utility of it. They're putting it at $800. It's a little expensive, but you know, people are going to buy it because it's Apple. All right, the United States stock market is indeed open. Wake your ass up. The United States stock market is open. Let's get into what's going on. First of all, let's check on our guy. Palantir. You need to replace this with a good bong. Miyoko, morning goal, standing by for the bell. Miyoko, thank you for being here. Shout out to 94 people. Thank you for being here. Palantir, 786. Look, Palantir is doing better than usual. It was not doing that great over the past week. The fact that it's even up at 780 was in the 720s. So 720 was the bottom so far. I fully expect Palantir to still, not do the best. But we're going to see. It all depends on this bad boy, the S&P, and how the market's rallying. Tesla up at 301. Tesla was at 269. Tesla's like one of those stubborn kids. I have one share of Tesla now. I bought it at 294. It is not going away. Tesla is absolutely not going away. They are going to, even if the market even gets a hint of a rally, Tesla rallies with it. And on days like this, people think like, oh, Tesla is everything. It's going to go great. And I'm happy for it. I have a share of it. But I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be able to be sustained. Nothing I see right now in the market in terms of the green seems to me to be like when Jay Powell made his statements in Jackson Hole saying that it's going to get pain, it's going to create pain to get rid of inflation. The market reacted in the most proper way, right? The market went down because that means interest rates are going to get higher. Dow, by the way, climbing 100 points. If interest rates have to get higher, then valuations are going to compress. It's just the nature of what happens in the market. ARK at 45 as well, sitting just above 30 on the RSIs at 35. So a lot of these stocks you could argue are screaming undervalued, are screaming that it's time to buy, or screaming that they're oversold. The problem is nothing has changed from Jay Powell's speech to now. We haven't even gotten CPI data. So it's almost like the market is kind of baking in CPI is definitely peaking at 9.1 to 8.5, and it'll be lower than 8.5, which means even if the Fed does a 75 basis points, it's not going to matter because inflation has gone down, and eventually they're going to have to start not doing 75 basis points, maybe 50 or 25 basis points. That could explain a theoretical rally. I just don't think it's enough to do what we're doing so far. And that's why I think that is what it is. Okay, here we go. It's what, 9:32. It's time for me to buy my new stock. Echoes, I see you are here in the chat. I'm going to buy it, and then I'm going to show the actual buy. So here we go. Maybe buying it at a little bit of a high price, but it's whatever. It's not a big deal. This is a DCA one, so let's do that. All right. Honestly, here I'm going to do two buys. I'm going to do one buy here, and then I'll do another buy a little bit later in the day because it's probably going to be lower. All right. I am buying, let me stop sharing, 77 shares of, let's submit this first. Let's make sure the buy happens. Sofi. It is done. SoFi has been collected, $500. I have 1,000. I'm literally like, okay, the market's green right now. It'll probably go late, like down by like, I don't know, 12 p.m. Might get a little bit of better price. So we'll put the other 500 there. $1,000 in SoFi. I have a video coming out a little bit later today why I'm purchasing SoFi. I did an interview and a podcast with someone yesterday named Riley. Super, super interesting guy. And he also confirmed sort of my bull thesis on SoFi. Let's go to SoFi right now. I have an entire video that's going to be coming out a little bit later today explaining this stuff. SoFi is at 645, market cap of about 595 billion, so $5 billion bucks. There is 3 reasons I purchased SoFi, and there's the video that's going to come out today is going to be able to explain it. Number 1 is leadership by Anthony Noto, CEO. I think the guy's an absolute rock star, and I am more than happy giving him my capital to be able to work with. Number 2 is their AWS, a fintech platform. I've done a lot of research into Galileo and what this platform could mean in the next 10 years and how it could operate as an operating system theoretically for more fintech companies. Financial technology companies are already using the platform like Robinhood, so there's a lot of stuff to discuss there. And number 3 is just valuation. SoFi to me at $6.45 or $5 or $6.30, whatever it may be, to expect a double on the stock price. I mean, people are bag holding the stock because they bought it at 12, 14, 15, 16 bucks. Same thing with me. I bought Palantir a little bit too high. This is one of those companies where I finally feel like I am not necessarily going to be holding the bag. Could it go a little bit lower than this? Yes, I get it. But it is one of those companies where I'm asking for a double in a couple of years. And I really feel there's an asymmetrical bet when the macro gets better, when interest rates go down, when their growth continues to compound to get a double. This is not financial advice. This is my opinion on how I think SoFi sort of operates. Let's go, bro. I achieved my goal. Future investing. Shout out to you being here. SoFi is also my broker. It makes a lot of sense. Quick elevator pitch for SoFi. So that video will come out literally in like an hour, Reformed Gamer. So you'll be able to get an even better elevator pitch from me. I own SoFi, so I support this buy a bit. My average cost in SoFi is $5.15. Yeah, that's phenomenal. That's great, Echoes. That's why I only put 500. I have 1,000. I want this to be a $10,000 position. I put in 1,000. I wanted to put in 1,000 today. I put in 500. I know it's a very small buy, but to get 77 shares for $500, I mean, that's not bad. And I'll probably put in the other 500 either today or tomorrow. Just probably going to go lower than here, so we'll see. I wish I could buy better. I have a rule that I don't break. I don't trust Chamath backs. Okay, so Chris, I really researched the Chamath thing. He still owns 85% of his SoFi position. They only trimmed 15% of the position. So that's one thing. Number 2, it's not really a pump and dump. To me, a pump and dump would be exiting the entire position. The way I understand what Chamath did was that in November 2021, at the top of the market, he saw everything was overvalued, and he shed 15% of a position at the best price. To me, I'm like, that's smart, especially because he made a bunch of climate energy tech startup investments, so he needed some capital. So I don't know. This is one of those things where it's like, I get it for the open door. I get like, but as I've understood Chamath's thesis, as I've understood Anthony Noto is a freaking rock star, CFO of NFL, CFO of Twitter, COO of Twitter, and now the CEO of SoFi. It doesn't seem like a typical Chamath pump and dump at all. I wouldn't worry about Chamath. He pumped some trash companies. He's definitely a grifter, but SoFi is a good company. Yeah, I agree. I don't know if Chamath's necessarily a grifter, but I don't think SoFi is a pump and dump, especially because Social Capital still owns 85% of their position. So they're still, I think, like the 6th largest shareholder. So that, to me, that narrative is just a little, it's not necessarily the best thing. Fundamental SoFi outweighs Chamath ties to it, in my opinion. Yeah, I agree. So that's the buy. SoFi is the buy. A lot more videos coming out on it in the future. I just think at this valuation, it's like, it's actually a no-brainer at this point to me. As I started going deeper into it, I'm like, okay, if I'm asking for a double from 6 to 12, like, can I get 6 to 12? I'm not asking for much. Even if it takes 2 years, can I get 6 to 12? Yes. And I don't think it's going to take 2 years. I think it could be cheaper than that. It just depends on the macro at that point. I think SoFi can run. Let's look at their chart a little bit before we move on. Let's look at what is this? The 6 months? Actually, let's look at their max. So they IPO'd, ran up to about 28. This was back in 2020. So 28 was their kind of high. They went down, they went down. They were still at 20 in November 2021. This is when Chamath got 15% of his position. And then it comes down. So this is the downward spiral. This is where most people started buying the dip a lot. I mean, everyone in the market started buying the dip on all stocks because we thought this was the bottom, and this was the bottom, and this was the bottom, this was, and 482 was the actual bottom. And then we had a nice rebound to what is this, 7? If you bought at 482, you're already up almost 80% on your position, right? And then it goes down, down, down. Now it's at $6. So to expect in a year or two for it to be back at 10, 12 bucks, I think it's a pretty decent bet. That's not, not absolutely crazy. And that is the new stock. That is the new stock that I bought. Just teasing you, mid, but SoFi has a better chance. Maybe. People don't trust SoFi because of SPAC, but I trust SoFi because their CEO has been taking companies public for a day. Yeah, and this is the other thing. This is what, like, the SPAC thing and the SPAC FUD and nonsense that came up with SoFi, and that affects a lot of companies. But the CEO and what he's done with this company, and particularly his financial background. Anthony Noda is not a technical founder. Riley, by the way, Focus Notice. I did an interview with him that'll be out tomorrow, all explaining about SoFi. His ability to take companies public and his ability to be a leader is something that I'm really attracted to. And it's very hard to find those companies that you actually want, especially at this valuation. Like Tim Cook, phenomenal leader, but Apple's, Tesla, Elon, phenomenal leader. But a lot of these companies are rich in valuation. SoFi is not. SoFi is not rich in this valuation. Hoping it goes to 4 again so I can buy in the future. Yeah, that's why I'm DCing. I'm not trying to buy that much. But we'll see how it goes. All right, so let's see what else is happening in the markets. Let's load up CNBC. First of all, thank you 125 people for being here. I know it's been a while since I've done Market Open. I was sick, but I'm back, and I'm excited to talk. All right, let's hear about inflation and if it is headed in the right direction. Let me share my screen, and we'll get into this.
To you, we've seen the market sort of move here this morning with some green on the screen, and I'm curious how you're thinking about positioning things ahead of the week.
Good morning, Andrew. Great to be here this morning. Yeah, I think Friday was certainly a welcome move for the markets, and it looks like it's going to continue today. So I take that as perhaps investors think that the CPI number is going to be better than expected, and essentially it's going to lead to favorable moves in the equity market. But I think it's kind of hard to call that, whether or not that will happen. But what I do think is that inflation is headed in the right direction. We're expecting this big Fed hike, 75 bips to come. I think that's priced into the market. So I think that we're at a point now where we sort of expect these things to happen, and perhaps the market gains some footing. It was also good to see that the S&P actually is trading above the 50-day moving average, 100-day moving average, just slightly so, and they're about the same right now too, coincidentally. So I think that that gives us some hope that perhaps June was the low of the markets. We've seen broad participation on Friday. Looks like broad participation today. Perhaps we're kind of stabling out here.
What's your expectation, not of this rate hike, but potentially the next opportunity for the Fed?
Yeah, so I think after this, we'll be 2/3 of the way done in terms of inflation readings. So we'll have probably one more before the Fed can say, okay, we've got 3 reads now. Inflation is heading downward. Some of the other numbers are softening, whether it's job, wage increases, things like that. I think if the data continues to be supportive, then maybe the Fed does another 25 bips or so and pauses. Don't forget, they're doing a lot of balance sheet unwind behind the scenes too. And it seems like so far what they're doing is actually working. Right. They're not crushing the economy.
What's the chance that the markets, the equity markets, are just professional optimists, and that they've been professional optimists around this the entire time? That, a month ago, there was a view that the Fed was going to, or I should say a month ago. In July, there was a view, the Fed, they're going to see that inflation's coming down. They're not going to do anything about it. Then they got this hard reality from Jay Powell that actually, yes, we're going to continue. And what's to say that he's not going to continue, and why shouldn't he?
Yeah, I mean, if you listen to everything he's saying, the biggest risk to the market is that he could very well continue, right? He may say, I told you I'm going to make this hard.
Isn't that the better bet at this point in the ball game? I mean, to actually think that we're going to have interest rates, that we're going to have inflation under control in 2 months. I mean, I don't see it, and I don't know.
I don't think we're going to
see that either, actually.
Yeah, I don't think that we're going to have it under control in 2 months, but I do think that the data is going to soften enough. And I don't think that just, kind of slamming their foot on the gas pedal and doing more and more hikes into the year to kind of crash the economy is the goal either. I do think that there's going to be a middle ground here. So I would expect another rate hike. But what I'm saying is I do think that they're also going to take a pause because some of the data is softening enough where, there is this reality that perhaps what they're doing is working, right? So I think it remains to be seen. We have to see what happens with jobs. We also have to see just what happens with, sort of earnings and wages and, the price of gas and what happens in the winter with the EU. And if we get a recession there, there are these outside factors that could impact our growth and put us into a recession more quickly beyond the Fed's hikes. So although the markets absorb the Fed hikes well and absorb inflation well, that's not necessarily going to continue. And I think he has to be mindful of that.
Okay, a couple of interesting things that were in that clip that we need to talk about. Number one, deflation. I know you guys are talking about it in the chat, and I'll give some thoughts on it in a second. Elon Musk basically tweeted that he thinks deflation is coming. Why is this important from Elon Musk? Because this guy is overseeing, the logistics and supply chains and the commodity prices of some of the most complex logistics and supply chains in the world, which is automobile manufacturers. So if Elon Musk is saying, hey, he thinks deflation is coming because he sees that commodity prices might start be trending downward, which means his price structure for Teslas are starting to stabilize, that could be a leading indicator for what's going on in the broader market. Another thing that this woman who runs Defiance ETF just said is that it's incredibly important to understand this concept that if CPI data does go down, the Fed is already doing so much quantitative tightening that, and I think it's like something around the lines of $40 billion per month that they're taking out of the market, that there simply is not the need to be at 75. That is the argument. There's going to be 75 in September because Jay Powell confirmed it. But if inflation really does go down over the next 2 months, maybe even 75 in October or November, but if it does go down, then we're going to get 50 or 25 because there is simply no reason for the Fed to be that hawkish. Because if inflation is going down, we don't need to induce a recession. We don't need to destroy demand because the only reason we're doing those things is to stop inflation. If inflation is going down naturally because the interest rates being where they are and the market being where it is naturally allowed it to go down, and the Fed obviously being hawkish for the past year, past 8 months, then that means the problem is solved. If that is the case, the market is going to rally on that news because if we get 50 or 25, it is all baked in. The market's like, all right, time to go back to the moon because we're good. And sort of the S&P right now is already kind of reflecting that. 90 billion instead of 45 billion. Yep. So that is the question, right? That is the ultimate question. If we have deflation versus inflation, and we have a Fed that's not as hawkish as it's been over the past 8 months because they literally can't. Because when you keep raising interest rates, you're trying to induce a recession. If we're able to have a soft landing and we don't need a recession because inflation naturally has gone down, interest rates don't need to go higher. If interest rates start getting lower or start stabilizing at where they are, tech companies will benefit off of that, right? Because higher interest rates are worse for tech companies, which means a lot of the valuations for companies like Palantir, Tesla, et cetera, they're going to be okay. And so that's an interesting concept. Now, what the host, Andrew, was pushing back at was like, will we actually be able to tame inflation in 2 months? I don't think we will, which is why I'm a little bearish on this. But, if we do, then we're at a good position. Zoom at $83, just above 30 on the RSIs. DNA, this is another stock that I'm getting ready to make a purchase of, probably another $1,000 position eventually. $3. It was at $2 at one point. I'm like, can I get it at $2? I'd rather have it at $2 than $3. So this is another stock that I'm interested in as well. Doing okay for today. ARK being at 45. ARK was at like 30 last week or something. Last week was bad for it. Yeah, look at this. Last week they were at 36. So the market's already rebounded pretty substantially from last week. Coinbase at $81. Snowflake at 191. Snowflake was at 110 at the bottom of the market this summer. Rose up to 191. Their earnings last August 24th was pretty phenomenal. So they've been killing it. Would I buy the stock? No, I think it's a little bit too richly valued, but nonetheless, they have not been going down either. Don't do it. Admit DNA is a fraud. I don't know, Chris. I still haven't read the short report yet, which is why I haven't bought them. I don't know if they're a fraud. Fraud is a big claim on this one, but I've got to look more. Amit's portfolio might look as bad as ARK's after all these buys. I think all of our portfolios, honestly, are hit. Now, Zoom is another interesting stock that I've been thinking about very deeply. The problem is I don't like what I saw last quarter on their growth rates. And I don't necessarily know if I see Kathy Wood's 15x long-term vision by 20. Because again, if Kathy Wood says Zoom goes to 1,200 by 2026, that's more than a 10x from here. If this stock 10x is by 2026 in the next 4 years, it is probably the best stock you could have bought in 2022. Because I don't know what stock is 10xing in 2026. I mean, even if you're bullish on Tesla, I don't know if it's a $3 trillion company in 2026. Maybe not. Maybe it's close, but I don't know if it does 10x. Zoom to 10x would be right now, what is their market cap? They are 24. There's to be a $240 billion company. I mean, that's a lot to ask from Zoom. They're only doing $4 billion in revenue right now. But we would see. S&P, as you can see right here, 409. S&P is absolutely killing it. The momentum is there. It's going up. NVIDIA not really riding with the momentum. It's had a pretty rough couple of weeks, especially with some new geopolitical stuff happening and their ability not to be able to sell into China. The China-Taiwan stuff is also getting very interesting, guys. Some of the stuff that's happening there, it's important to keep track with, but it has a lot of effects on the market. Amid small diversified plays are not the answer. Go all in 1 to 3 stocks, buy more Tesla, thank me later. You know, Joel, I don't have as much money as you, so. But see, but it's not really a small diversified stocks. It's more so like I want to pick like 4 to 5 positions and then DCA in them over time. I don't know if Tesla is one of those positions yet for me. I don't know. We got to see. Tesla is an $8 trillion company in 2026. All right. Hey, look, man, I'm not Joel, you are the most bullish person I know on Tesla. I can't deny that. So, all right, let's see another little clip, and let's play this one.
Second, Professor, just simply, and I don't expect you to be a market timer necessarily, but the head fakes that we're seeing with the market right now, what do you think the market is trying to prevent? Is it trying to prevent people from getting long, or is it trying to prevent people from selling?
Well, Joe, honestly, I think that so much bearishness on all the indicators. It seems like everyone that wants to be out of the market is out. Everyone that wants to be tactical is short, and therefore the surprises are going to be on the upside. I mean, the dollar is coming down. That is very, very good news. Potential good news and developments in Ukraine, although it does, certainly indicate more uncertainty. Looks like we're going to have a pretty decent print on the CPI. Now, that notwithstanding, I do think the Fed has decided, barring some extreme news, that we are going to go 75 on this time. More importantly, is we're going to end up at the end of the year. The market thinks another 150 from where we are today. That's 75, I guess 50, and then another 25 in the December meeting. And I think that should definitely do it, because on the ground, I don't see prices going up anywhere near certainly the rate that it did. The important housing prices, actually on the ground housing prices, are going down, although we will not see those, as I've noted before, in the official statistics.
Right. If you read that book from whenever it was, 1920, Jesse Livermore, that's what you take away from it, is that the market constantly tries to do things to fool you into believing one thing when it's really its true intention is to do the other thing, and it's constantly doing that. I don't know, it's just human nature, I think, is the way it works. So when we hit the June low.
Real quick in the chat, Miyoko says NEO is up 9%. That is that's pretty insane. The market is absolutely rallying right now.
Jeremy, and we had that sharp snapback in July. Most people thought bear market rally, and I don't know. I thought we really had hit the lows. Then the most recent sell-off, that's where you have to decide, what is that? Is that a resumption of the downtrend to 3,000? Does it go to 3,000, the S&P? Or is it really just trying to shake out people that don't really believe we're starting a new uptrend? And that's kind of what I think it was. I think it was trying to shake your faith in that July rally that it would be long lasting. I don't think it's a move to new low, but I don't know. Do you have the same viewpoint?
I've said that I thought that the June lows are the lows.
Why don't we? What about the
when you have a
VIX?
bear market, you always have what's called a basing period.
Right.
In
But
terms
okay,
of
so
it goes up and down, and yeah, that reinforces the bearishness.
Not
yeah,
that.
this was just as you said, a head fake. Again, we had seen those sentiment indicators become so extremely negative. I mean, and really, when I take a look at things on the ground in terms of even earnings, people talk about a recession. Well, we already had 2 negative quarters of GDP with collapsing productivity. We get any rebound in productivity second half of this year, that's further downward pressure on prices, which means the Fed doesn't have to go to an extreme. So I think again, when everyone is sold, the only place, only the buyers are left, and the shorts are exposed. So we will certainly see what happens in on the ground developments. But I think the market is liking the ECB being more aggressive means less. The Dow can go down. It really has gone down. That's very, very important in terms of the foreign earnings. Developments in Ukraine are moving quickly. This may mean some sort of settlement going forward. It looks like Europe maybe has prepared better than we had feared for the winter. Joe, the truth of the matter is we have millions of pieces of news. When the market goes down, we take from the pile that justifies the negative. When the market goes up, we take from the pile that justifies the positive. But I think that the sentiment and the fact that so many people have said, this is just another head fake bear market rally tells me history, the lowest sentiment is at market bottoms, just as the highest bullish sentiment is at market tops. And this has been 100, 200 years, as you say, going back to Jesse Livermore and even.
So the points that Wharton professor is making make sense, which is doing the opposite of what the sentiment is. So if the sentiment is incredibly bearish, right, it's going to be bullish. However, if we, there's the counter argument, whereas you look at some trends, what happened in the 1929, 1970s, 2008, where this is almost exactly looking, if we get to around 420, 430 on the S&P, like a 20% bear market rally before the storm happens. What's going to happen? No one knows. And that is the interesting part about covering the stock market and being on this part of the internet and on YouTube and stocks and finance. It's like, we don't know what's going to happen. We're trying to do our best to have some indicators of what's going on. The one thing we can say for sure is that if inflation and the CPI print goes down, which the market absolutely believes it's going to happen, this rally today means that they have baked in that it's going to be lower than 8.5. So more likely than not, it will not surprise and be like 8.6. The question is that enough for us to get out of this bear market and for June 16th to have truly been the bottom? That is the question. And if it is, then we're in for a great 2023. And there is some historical data supporting that 2023 should be great because it is the year after a midterm election year. 2019 was the last year we had after a midterm election year. In 2018, we were down 15%. 2019, we're up 33%. I'm actually going to do a video on this later because I want to dive deeper into this. It's a really good stat that people forget about. And that's happened every year since 1958. The year after a midterm year, we have bounced up. The midterm year, we've actually bounced down. If we don't have a unique rally at all 2023, if the market's not up, 20%, this will be one of the first times in history that the market has not rebounded off of a bad midterm year. But if Michael Burry's right, then maybe it doesn't matter, right? So this is the issue. This is the absolute issue. Amit, do you think Palantir went down too much in August based off an EPS miss and lowered guidance, down 25% in August? Thoughts on if we beat an XQ? I think in general, most stocks went down too much in August based upon what's going on in the market. But yes, I do not think Palantir's earnings were so substantially bad that they deserve to be down 25%. At some level, they're a couple more dollars are going to start trading almost net cash to book value. It doesn't make any sense for what they're actually being able to do in the potential. And the market just didn't like how they presented their earnings call, didn't like the answers, and they did what they had to do. These are things that it's just one of those quarters where it's like, if again, when you were a Tesla shareholder, there's some of those quarters where it's like, all right, let's move on to the next quarter. There are some moments where in life, everything cannot be perfect. You just have to move on. I think that was one of those moments for Palantir and Honest. Those are my thoughts on it. And again, as the macro gets better, I think a lot of things are going to get better. So yeah, we're going to see. We're going to see how the market rallies. Now, quick announcement before I leave. First of all, thank you 178 people for being here. Really appreciate it. If you give a like on the stream, that means the world to me. I am officially starting market closes. So we're going to see how this goes. I'm excited for it. It's going to start around 3:45, run till about 4:15, 4:20. So about 35 minutes, market close every day. I'll set a reminder, or I'll set a little preview on the channel so you guys can set a notification for yourself. I don't know if you guys are available in the market close time. I don't know if you guys are interested in hearing market close. If you want to just put it on as some background noise and watch me ramble about what's gone on in the past 5 hours. But market closes will be happening. So I hope you guys enjoy it. It's going to be fun. And not only market close, I did say 420 Midwest. Not only market close, late night stock talks is also happening tonight around 11 p.m. But usually it'll be around 10:15, but tonight around 11 p.m. So we have market open, market close, late night stock talks. All three. We are ramping it up, baby. We are ramping it up. What's the new stock he's buying? I bought Sofi, Andres. And I'll put a video out today a little bit explaining Sofi. 3 videos coming out today. 1, explaining my Sofi video. Number 2, my thoughts on Meet Kevin startup. It is not a bash video on Meet Kevin. It's actually, I think, it's my analysis on what he's trying to do. And it doesn't even have to do with much startup. It has more to do with like the ambition of what he's trying to do. And last video is going to be a Palantir video. It's a clip from me, Chris, and CodeStrap talking. So that's sort of the agenda for today. So you can watch out for those videos as well. Go take a piss in between. All right, last thing I'll say. First of all, 150 people being here. Last thing I'll say as we end the stream. Okay, does anyone ever, this is for the guys, maybe even for the girls, but it has to do with the guys. Does anyone ever sit down, they have to work, they have to do a lot of stuff, they're ready to get stuff done, and as soon as they sit down and get ready to work, for some reason, they have to pee? This has been happening for the past 2 months for me. I sit down, I'm like, all right, time for work, time for blah, 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 and I sit down, and out of nowhere, I'm like, I gotta pee. And so I tweeted the other day, I was like, every time I sit down and have to seriously work and want to pee, I want to chop off my penis. That's what I said. And it happened yesterday, and I got really close to doing it because I was like, this is ridiculous. Like and then I don't pee because I don't want it to win. So I'm like, no, I'm going to keep working. And then 20 minutes later, I'm like, damn it. And then I get up and then I go pee. So it's not exciting. All right. Anyway, thank you guys so much for joining. I will see you guys market close 3:45 p.m. Thank you so much for being here. See you then. Have a great day, everybody.